So, don't bother pointing out that schmuck doesn't rhyme with prick. I didn't get where I am today not noting the phonetic dissimilarities between the word schmuck and prick. But you see what I was doing there? You see what I did there? I subverted the form in order to point up a higher truth. So back to minimalism. Back to minimalism, right? You know, sometimes less is more. And you know what proves it? The haiku. Anybody here heard of Gary Snyder, the head of the Haiku Society and the king of the beatniks back in 1958? Remember that guy? Yeah, right. You know that guy. He put me on the road of Zen Buddhism in 1959, and I've never really veered from it. Not in any serious way. So no, but I'm a great believer in minimalism. You know, possessions tie you down, all this, and all that. And let me tell you about it, because I was sort of had it kind of ratified. My minimalist lifestyle, I had it ratified by none other, because I did Glastonbury in the summer. It seems like centuries ago, doesn't it? But I was there. It was probably about 6 weeks ago. And I heard that His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, was there, so I figured, time to verify my minimalist lifestyle here. Who better to do it than Mr. Anti-Materialism himself, the Dalai Lama, the anti-materialist king. And people like him don't need money. Don't you understand? But anyway, time to verify my lifestyle choices over the years since 1958. Was I wrong all along, to get rid of all my earthly possessions? In fact, so I said, you've got to introduce me to the guy, the Dalai Lama. So I can make that happen, Dr. Clarke. So we met, shook hands. The whole of my right-hand side sobered up. I said, long ago thanks to the work of the great Gary Snyder, I embraced the code of minimalism and the way of the samurai since 1959, Your Holiness. He says, call me Dal. I says, right, Daz. Like that now. Right, Daz, I says, this here minimalism, I embraced it in 1959, and I've got it down to a George Foreman grill and a bottle of disinfectant. What do you think? He says, Jesus, Clarke, you want to get some shit? You existentialists, you've always got to take it too far. So like in the way of Gary Snyder, here's a select. Would you like to hear a selection of my haikus? Sure you do. And for the uninitiated, I know you're a very internationalistic people in Holland, so I'm sure you know. But to the uninitiated, a haiku is a 3-line poem. It was a kind of poetry. It was invented in the 17th century in Japan by a guy called Basho, wrote for the Floating World School of Zen Buddhism, and it's a poem of a 17-syllable discipline, 3 lines, 17 syllables, first line 5, second line 7, third line 5, 17. No deviation. You know what the Japanese are like. There's no Japanese translation for the term of near enough. There's no literal translation for that into Japanese. So I had to think very carefully about writing haikus in the first place. Why? Because half a syllable each side, and that would be like spitting on my ancestors. And then I would be obliged to eviscerate myself in a public place. And I don't want that to have to happen. So I thought again, he's going into business for himself. Nice one. I don't want that to happen, and so I had to think about it very hard. This haiku business, half a syllable each side. Thinking about it, that's spitting on my ancestors. Push comes to shove, I could live with it. But the old evisceration, forget about it. So I thought, get it right, Dr. Clarke, internal dialogue. So I'm going to give you a little mashup of my haikus now. 17 syllables, 3 lines. And I'm going to mash them up. I'm not going to start with number 1 and then go through it. You know why? Because life ain't chronological. So I'm going to mash them up. I'm going to start with haiku number 6. Yeah, radical. I know what you're thinking. I can read your mind. Smarter men than I have been total idiots, and I've met them all. Haiku number 2. With patience and faith, you may catch your enemy's funeral cortege. Haiku number 3. Inertia saves lives. Idle threats remain that way, procrastinated. Haiku number 4. With its golden pledge of a pain-free existence, morphine makes me brave. Haiku number 5. The way to relax. Don't lift anything heavy and try to keep still. And I'm going to wrap it up now with haiku number 1. Haiku number 1, the one that got me started on the Gary Snyder road to self-enlightenment. Haiku number 1. To freeze the moment in 17 syllables is very difficult.